Greetings, Benjamin J. from BENZTRAINZ with another in the series. Well, Merry Christmas, everyone. It is Christmas Day 2018, and it's been pretty slow today. Had a gigantic dinner and am stuffed like a proverbial mattress. So in any case, after dinner, it was a bit slow around here. So I thought I would make use of some parts, and I built this. Now what this is a spotlight truck, as you see. And I used the rear truck off a Marx 6000. So it's a pretty heavy duty truck, as you can see. And then I had an old bracket that I think is from a Marx floodlight. And I had this floodlight. It's a cast original, I think it's American Flyer. Not really sure. It is really heavy, substantially heavy. So I had to drill holes in the sides of it and then tap it and put screws in it so it could fit this bracket. And it actually fits it fairly well. And then I mounted the bracket to the truck with a plastic screw, as you see, and then made the main contactor out of a bent hacksaw blade. And I'm using a plastic screw and a piece of black tape as the insulator. And I just drilled a hole to run the power wire from the spotlight down through a hole to the contactor and tightened everything down, and we have a working floodlight. The neat thing about it is that it is actually flicker free, as you see, and it cost nothing. Made completely out of junk. And the spotlight even has a glass lens in it. So anyway, I just got this finished, so I wanted to do a quick video on it. It's pretty simple, as you can see, and the neat thing about using this hacksaw blade is it only takes 2 bends to do this. And you can make, once it's mounted, you can make the final adjustments just by working with the 2 bends that you've already made. And this is riding perfectly on that third rail, supplying power to the spotlight. It is absolutely flicker free. And tomorrow I will finalize this. I want to put a new plastic screw in it. This is an old one I had, and it's almost stripped. And so I'll put a new plastic screw in it. I'll put a few drops of epoxy on it to really secure all the contact points. And anyway, I just wanted to do a quick video of its first real run around the rail. So as you see, it only has 1 coupler, so I'm going to use it as a towed spotlight. And you can tow it behind any consist. So this is going to be the first test of it actually running on the rail. So I wanted to do a quick video to document this. So without further ado, the spotlight truck, made from a Marx 6000 rear truck, a old American Flyer floodlight. I believe the bracket is off a Marx spotlight, but I wouldn't swear to it. And just kind of cobbled this together. The thing is, it works. And of course, using a bent hacksaw blade as the main contactor. So let's take this around and see how we do. This is its first run on the rail. And as you see, that is running just absolutely perfectly. So a towed floodlight, or spotlight, whatever you want to call this. And I haven't decided which way it's going to be pointing. Inbound or inboard, outboard, straight behind, not really sure yet. But I just got this finished, so I want to do a video on it. And as you can see, it's absolutely flicker free. And it's actually quite heavy. It's a substantial car because that truck itself is fairly heavy. And that cast spotlight is really heavy. It weighs a couple ounces. I mean, it's actually quite heavy, surprisingly so. But it has a glass lens in it with its original retainer. And as you can see, it's self-contained, and best of all, it didn't cost anything. Made completely out of junk. And of course, the nice thing about it is, the fact that it works. It works absolutely perfectly, and as you see, it is flicker-free. Being pushed, being pulled, doesn't make any difference. And that's just a hacksaw blade riding on that third rail. And I'm going to epoxy this into position so it can't move. Like I said, it's all just assembled with a plastic screw for right now. And none of the shops are open today. And so tomorrow, this will be a fun project to finish. Anyway, a spotlight truck. And I'm only going to leave one coupler on it. I could put two on, but I think it's more interesting with one, and you can use it just as a towed spotlight. And so you can put it on the back of any consist, tab and slot. It'll fit plastic knuckle, or it'll fit plastic tilt. It'll fit virtually anything. And best of all is the fact that it works and it didn't cost anything. Made entirely out of parts, out of the parts box. And I've had that spotlight in there for, I don't know, probably over a year, something like that. Been in there for a long time, and I never had any real use for it. So tonight I was looking for a quick project I could put together, and this worked. So a rear truck off a Marx 6000. The bracket is off of, I think it's off a Marx floodlight. And then this floodlight itself is, I think it's an American Flyer. And like I said, I've had it for probably a year. So it's really heavy. And so I actually drilled and tapped. As you can see the screws inside there. I drilled and tapped this so I could put screws in it, because it takes a lot of energy or a lot of pressure to hold this. Thing is heavy. It is really heavy. And then just mounted it on this 6000 rear truck. Bent the hacksaw blade to make a contactor, ran the wire through a hole, and as you see, it goes over to the contactor, which is under this tab and slot. So I'll get this finalized tomorrow, a couple of drops of epoxy to make sure everything stays exactly where I want it to be. But the neat thing about it, of course, is the fact it works. It didn't cost anything. It's a great use of old parts. And I think you always have more satisfaction out of running something that you made rather than running something that you bought. And in this case, I have the only one of them. I don't know if there are spotlight trucks or not, but I've never seen one. And it works. That's the neat thing about it. So a towed spotlight. And you can throw it on the back of any consist and just tow it around the rail. And it's completely self-contained. You can put it on a siding. It'll remain lit as long as the power is on. It runs absolutely perfectly, and it didn't cost a dime. I just put a new light bulb in it. Like I said, it even has the original glass lens in it. So I've had that for a year, and I had absolutely no idea what I was going to do with it. And then when I started looking through the parts, looking for a project, I thought, you know, I can probably put this all together into one, and this is the result. It looks neat, and tomorrow I'll get it painted. I was thinking about painting it green and actually towing it behind the Army consist. That would be interesting. Or I could paint the entire thing black. No idea yet, but I just want to do a quick follow-up video on this. It works. It works really well, made entirely out of parts and junk. And the hacksaw blade only takes a couple of minutes to make a contactor out of it. And two bends, basically in the shape of a Z, and you can make all of your adjustments after it's mounted just by bending it along the bends you've already made. And it works. It rides that center rail, and as you see, it works absolutely perfectly. And as I said, it's flicker free. Being pushed or pulled, it doesn't make any difference. No flicker at all. Absolutely perfect contact. So I just wanted to do a quick video on this. Little self-contained spotlight truck that, like I said, you can put it on an active rail or a hot rail and just leave it on. But it's flicker-free. It costs nothing. Best of all, of course, it works, and it was made out of parts out of the parts box. Really difficult to beat that, especially when it works this well. So I just wanted to do a quick video on this. A self-contained towed floodlight or spotlight, whatever you want to call this. And again, it's just the rear truck off a Marx 6000. The bracket, I think, is from a spotlight, a Marx spotlight. The light itself, the housing, is, I think it's an American Flyer. I'm not really sure. It just came in a bunch of parts that I bought, and I have never, ever had any use for it. Like I said, it's quite heavy. It weighs probably a couple ounces. It's cast zinc. And so I drilled and tapped the two holes on the side to fit this bracket. And as you see, it works absolutely perfectly. flicker-free, and best of all, of course, is the fact that it cost nothing. And like I said, it's always satisfying to run a car that you made rather than one that you bought. And just made out of junk, just stuff out of the parts box that's been sitting in there for months. Months and months and months. But it works. That's the neat thing about it. Like I said, you can put it on a siding with the power on, and you can just leave it lit. And it's completely self-contained, and it's not a car. That's the neat thing about it. It's just basically a spotlight on 4 wheels. And it works. It works really, really well. So I just want to do a quick video on this. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to drop me an email. BENZTRAINZ@gmail.com. And as always, thank you for watching.